Real-world problems. So the issue with these is kind of going through and figuring out what's really happening in the problem. So the total number of public school teachers, now just pause for a moment. Like think about, well, the total number of public school teachers. So maybe you can think of like a big pie graph or whatever. And this is all public school teachers. Consists of two groups, elementary and secondary. Well, I'm not saying it's half and half, but elementary and secondary teachers they make up the entire public school teaching staff. So if the total, number of public school teachers was 50, and there was like 20 that were in elementary, then there'd have to be 30 that were in secondary. And by the way, secondary is high school. So first of all, if you're unfamiliar with that term, that might be confusing just on its own. And if I want to think of it, with the actual numbers, well, the public school, the total, is going to be made up of elementary plus secondary. So what's weird about this is, they decided to tell us that all the public school teachers was really T, so the total teachers is going to be replaced over here. So if I take all the elementary teachers and all the secondary high school teachers, I will get the total number of teachers. Hopefully that was helpful. So from 1992 to 2003, the number in thousands, so like if I were to say 5, like if I got 5 as an answer, that would mean it wasn't 5, it was 5,000. So whatever answer I get, calculated in thousands, of high school or secondary teachers, and total teachers could be modeled by the following, where N is the number of years since 1992. So here is the deal. Add HS over here if this helps you, so you tag that as high school, and then tag this as all. Because first of all, you might be thinking that they gave you high school and elementary. So we need to find an equation that models the number of elementary school teachers, E, for this time period. Well, we knew that the total was going to be T, and that would be made up of all the secondary and all the elementary teachers. Now, let's plug in what we know. All of them is this value. So instead of T, I'm going to write 58N plus 2,401 is equal to all the secondary teachers, which is right here, 29N plus 949 is equal, plus E, my fault. Now, yeah, at the start of this, maybe you thought, well, I could just do the total T minus S. So I think I'm making us do more work, but I also think it's helpful to see it this way. Well, we're going to subtract to leave E by itself, and I'll show all this in one step. Here's minus 949. So I'm going to subtract 29N over here, and minus 949. Show a little line, and I'm going to fling the E down to this side. So I have capital E is equal to, what is that, 29N once I subtract it? And then I have to think for this one for a second. Plus 1,452. So this is the equation that models the number of elementary school teachers. So what we ended up doing was we took the total, subtracted this, so even though it might not seem like it, you are subtracting and adding polynomials. So that's why they're having you do that. So now we're told use the equation, and the equation was E equals 29N plus 14, I already forgot what that was, 52? I can't even read my own handwriting. 1452 in 2015. So here's where it gets a little bit weird, but not too crazy. You might be tempted to plug in 2015, but that would be incorrect. And the reason that's incorrect is because this equation started where 1992 was the beginning. So if this is new to you, I'll be clear. So here's 1992. And so if I'm interested in how far away 2015 is, I can't plug in 2015. I have to figure out that 1992 is going to be 8 years until 2000, and 2000 to 2015 is going to be 15. So this would be a total distance of 23 years. And yeah, you could have just taken those years and subtracted it, but I kind of like the counting up method. So what did I say, 23? So I'm plugging in that for the number of years, and then I'm adding 1452 at the end. Now I've just written the answer 2119, and I didn't bother showing these multiple steps. Well, as you're getting to this point, this is getting a little bit more complicated, and the ideas are really about polynomials. So I think by this point the teacher probably has faith that you can do order of operations for something like this, so it's okay to just type this in your calculator and get a result. We're not bypassing a lot of algebra or anything there. Now the issue here, we need to know the number of elementary teachers, right? So when we write this, we are not going to say 2,119 elementary teachers. This answer is in the thousands, so we would add 30 and then say elementary teachers. And box that. So the word problems are going to read confusingly. You're going to run into some walls here. Do your best to work around them, and then come see me with questions. So the problems are going to be relatively straightforward, and then the word problems are going to be peculiar.